Hey everybody, this is Dark Storm Comic Reviews here. Today I thought we'd continue our journey through the Kindred with issue 2. So if you don't know what I'm talking about here, you can refer back to my last video where I talked about and I reviewed the first issue of the Kindred miniseries created by Image Comics and Wildstorm Productions, which stars both Backlash and Grifter. So if you need more information on the Kindred, you can refer back to my last issue. The Kindred is a mini-series. It is issues 1 through 4, and today we're going to be reviewing issue 2 of the Kindred and continuing the story. So, yep, here's the cover, the Kindred, issue 2 of 4. We got Grifter here, striking a really cool pose, shooting his VAD PP-30s, I believe is what they're called, VAD Power Pack 30 pistols. VAD Power Pack pistols. The reason, interesting fact, why they're called the VAD PP-30s is because they're VAD Power Pack pistols, but they fire I think 30 rounds per second. I think so. It's just an interesting little fact there. It's pretty cool. There's Grifter here with his VAD PP-30s. VAD PP-30s. Making sure I say that correctly. Got Backlash here firing his PSI whips. His psionic purple whips. So it's pretty cool. And like I mentioned before, the way Backlash's whips work is that he can think about using the whips, and then they materialize. So all he has to do is think about using them, and they form. So it's pretty cool. They're like energy whips, basically. Very powerful. Okay. So start off our story. Continuing on from the first issue, if you wanna know what happens in that, I'm not gonna really go over it because I feel like you could just go back and rewatch my review of the first issue. So I'm not gonna really cover back, but basically Backlash is going on this mission to rescue a guy named Director Lynch, because and the reason why he's going to rescue Director Lynch is because the people that Lynch works for has information on something that could help save his girlfriend. So that's why he's going back to save him. That's why he's choosing to go on this mission. So it's pretty cool. So here we got, Backlash is kind of just like laying down the information. He's like getting the team ready to go rescue Director Lynch. From the nasty might of the Kindred, who we're going to see later on in the story. Backlash is kind of just giving the team he's working with the lowdown. It's pretty cool scene, pretty cool image. Ship design's really cool. Really like the ship design here. See, we got the Black Razors, who were in the last issue. We got Colby here, who's kind of like Backlash's advisor for the mission. Got this really cool image of Backlash smoking a cigarette. Just kind of really giving them the lowdown of what's going on. Backlash is like, okay, team, so we're going to go to here, to this island called Caballito, where the Kindred are holding Director John Lynch, and we're going to go save him. Really just giving them the lowdown. So basically what happens is they fly their ship, they land it, and I'm trying to get some good pictures here. Ship's over here. Ship is about to land. Well, it's up in the air, but they do like a drop from the air type of thing. Ship's up here, and they all drop, and we get this really cool image of them like dropping from the air. See might be hard to make out, but you see the Black Razor team, these guys with the helmets dropping from the air. See Backlash here, Really cool image. I love this. I love this artwork. Artwork in this, by the way, is really great. Really well drawn. I think Brett Booth is the one who draws this book. I'll have to look, but I think Brett Booth is the one who draws this. So they're just dropping in. We get this really cool image of them just dropping in from that ship over there. And then we get to this next scene where we see Cole, Grifter. There we go. Sorry, light's kind of in the way, but we see Grifter. I remember, as you could recall from the last issue that I reviewed, he caught aboard the plane. He went aboard a helicopter to follow Backlash and his team to the island. Because his main priority of why he's here is because Grifter, the reason he's going on this mission is not really to save Director Lynch, but there's a girl that also got captured from the last issue named Alicia Turner, and that's why he's going. The main reason he's going to the Caballito Island to face the Kindred is because they captured a lady there named Alicia Turner, her and Grifter so happen to have like a romantic past. So, they have like a special tie or a special bond to each other. So that's why Grifter is going to Caballito to fight the Kindred, is to rescue Alicia Turner. They had like romantic tensions back in the past and stuff. But anyways, Grifter's on the copter. The Corporal spots him. We get a cool little reference to Spider-Man here. Name's Grifter, your friendly neighborhood gunslinger. I like that a lot. Grifter is kind of like a mix between... That's why he's probably my favorite gun character in comics, is because he's like a mix between Spider-Man and the Punisher. That's what I really like about him. He has a jokey sense of humor, but it's not like to the annoying levels, I guess, of Deadpool. Because, look, I like Deadpool, but the meta-humor thing kind of gets old to me after a while. And I kind of prefer Grifter, because he's kind of like just a mix of... He's cool enough to be like the Punisher, but like he also has a nice sense of humor and a lot of heart, similar to Spider-Man. So he's not like... Grifter really isn't as cold-hearted as Punisher, but he's not as cold-hearted as Punisher, but he's also has that soft spot like Spider-Man. So that's why I really like this character. But anyways, Grifter, he pulls out his gun. The Corporal's afraid that he's going to shoot him, but he actually shoots like this winged bat creature. Really cool shot here with his VAD PP30, as I mentioned before. That's what the pistol he has is called. And again, it's called VAD Power Pack Pistol. Or a VAD PP30 Power Pack Pistol, because it fires 30 Power Pack bullets over 1 second, I think, or something like that. I can't remember the details exactly, but I do know that it's called a VAD PP30 pistol, and I really like the design of his weapons. Really, really cool. Really neat. But the bad thing gets shot in the back. And then Grifter, he makes some kind of funny remarks. See, Grifter's kind of a good guy because he uses guns, but he's not like... He's also got a heart to him. He's actually pretty relatable, too. That's kind of what I like about his character. And he actually gives his, only parachute to this army guy to save his life. And then he just kind of jumps down there without a parachute. Because he's kind of crazy. He's not really insane, but, he doesn't mind taking risks or, risking his life to do some cool stunts. So, let's see where he's jumping out of there without, a parachute. And as I mentioned before, I think Cole also has a healing factor, so he can survive some stuff like this. But yeah, I really like Grifter's character. The cool thing is, the parachute that he gave to the army guy actually comes back into play later on in later issues of this miniseries, but we'll get to that eventually. Cool scene, though. Gives him the thing. Lights up a cigarette. Cool jumping pose. Bullets flying everywhere. Really cool stuff. Really good artwork by Brett Booth. who would later go on to draw Backlash, but the main series. But anyways, we get to these two flying bat things, and they're like, for the cause, for the cause. Those humans can't go against us. And they're talking about the cause of the Kindred, and basically what happens is these flying bat human creatures sacrifice themselves into the ship's flying thing, and when they do that, they take out the thruster of the ship that Backlash and his team of Black Rangers are hanging from, so it destroys the ship. Backlash and his team are kind of freaking out because they don't know what to do. Well, they're not freaking out. They're like, hold steady, we'll figure this out. Really cool designs here. I don't get why people hate on these 90s designs. I really like them. There's a lot of cool tech going on here with the helmet and the little Sims here, and then the cool looking gun here. But anyways, back to the story. Backlash is like, okay, let's surround them, let's get a hold of this. And Backlash, out of the air comes this like flying bat creature, one of the same ones that sacrificed themselves, and he attacks Backlash. But the Backlash is able to like maneuver himself and use his PSI energy whip to take out one of the bat creatures. It's a cool scene. But also Backlash is still falling in the air while this is happening. So, as mentioned in the last issue, Backlash, besides his PSI purple energy whips that he can materialize within his mind, well, by using besides his PSI purple energy whips that he can materialize using his mind, Backlash also has another ability where he can dematerialize into smoke, like a mist, and then rematerialize into his human physical form at will. So you can see that here. So you see Backlash is falling. He's kind of freaking out. He even says that he's never dematerialized in air before into smoke, but he has no choice, because if he doesn't, he'll just plummet to his death. So he does. He dematerializes in the air into smoke, and you just see a bunch of smoke fall on the ground, and then he rematerializes in physical form, and it's just such a cool image. I love it so much. It's really, really cool images here. Backlash is on the ground. He's wondering where his comrades are, or the Black Ranger team is. And there's this funny, it's kind of dark humor, but it's pretty funny. Let's see, he goes, I wonder if Colby and the rest of the Ranger team made it well. I can't wait for them here, or I'll be a sitting duck. I'd better get to the Rendezvous point. And then there's this funny joke where he goes, this unit is really falling apart. And then you see their body parts falling. And yeah, it's kind of wrong, but it's kind of like a dark humor thing. So if you're not into that, I could see why you'd be a little disgusted. But I kind of thought it was funny. I kind of thought it was funny in like a twisted dark humor way. But the team's really falling apart because you see their body parts falling everywhere. It's pretty nasty, but kind of funny in a dark humor way. See one of their Black Rangers helmets. Pretty neat. And then we see some of the Black Rangers, actually made it out. They end up falling all over Backlash. He gets kind of upset. And then he's like, okay, well, we need to strategize. We need to figure out what we're doing here. And they find out that the ship ends up crashing. So then Backlash goes, well, I guess we bought ourselves a one-way ticket to the island, because we can't really get out of here without a ship. Then we find Alicia, the girl Grifter is wanting to save. She's captured. She doesn't know what she's doing here. And John, and this is and this is the guy that they're trying to save, Director Lynch here. Sorry, it took me a minute. I kind of get names confused. But this is Director Lynch, the guy that Backlash is trying to save. The guy that Backlash is trying to save so that he can get information on the Daemonite alien that, took his girlfriend's psyche. So yeah, here's that guy. Here's Director Lynch, and they're both wondering what they're doing here. She's like, okay, I'm trying to use my telekinetic ability. I'm trying to use my telepathic abilities to get us out of here, because she has, like, Alicia Turner here has telepathic abilities, along with Director Lynch, and even Backlash and Grifter have some form of telepathic ability as well, but theirs aren't as strong as Alicia's or Director Lynch's here. We see another humanoid animal come into the prison. He's like, hey, we're going to take you, Lynch, you're due for trial. And she's like, what are you talking about? And what do you want with him? And the guy's like, silence, and he hits her. And so then the guy's like, yeah, take Lynch for trial, but keep watch of the girl. He's like, I don't get it. What's going on here? What did I do? Like, why am I taken into this trial here? And and he's like, why have you arrested us? What have I done? And he goes, my rescue unit, Backlash and the Black Ranger team are, going to come get me. And he goes, well, they're being dealt with already. This guy who we have no idea who he is. And then we also get this cool pinup that they used to do in these older 90s comics. Pretty neat little pinup here. Backlash and Grifter together. It's really, really cool. And then we find out the story behind the Kindred. This is where the origins are revealed and like who these people are. So basically, the Kindred, the Kindred were just a bunch of regular animals. They were originally just a bunch of regular animals, monkeys, bears, gorillas, stuff like that. But then a team of international operations scientists came to Caballito Island, where they're at right now, and they tested out this serum called the Genesis serum on these animals, and they eventually grew to be smarter. They eventually began to talk. They eventually began to, just become really, really smart, and they were able to become more human-like. These animals that were just originally animals at one point, they got tested on with this Genesis serum, and they became smarter, they became more human-like, and they basically, grew and created their own society. And that is what the Kindred are. You can see right here, he gives the explanation. So yeah, a team of international operations scientists tested the Genesis serum on these animals who were regular at one point, then they just became smarter and stuff, and more human-like, and they created their own society. That's what the Kindred are. It's kind of like in that movie Rise of the Planet of the Apes. It's basically that. But it's pretty cool. And so basically why he's mad at Lynch is because basically why oh, okay, yeah, so basically, I had to remember, I kind of forgot. So basically why, Blood Moon here, who is the leader of the Kindred, wants Lynch dead, or why he's captured, is because when word got out that the international operations scientists were testing their Genesis serum on the animals, Congress wasn't happy about it, because international operations is linked to the government. They're linked to the government. So, and when the government and Congress found out that they were testing this Genesis serum on the animals, they didn't like it. So Congress was like, okay, I don't care what you're doing. I don't care what this is all about. You need to, we're going to shut you down. We're going to, get rid of all your stuff. So basically what happened was the Congress got wind of what the international operations scientists were doing with testing the Genesis serum on the animals, and they shut them down completely. They're like, okay, we're shutting you down. And basically what that meant was, once they shut them down, the scientists basically were like, okay, well, we got to kill all the animals, we got to abandon them. So basically all the animals that were tested on got killed, and some were left alive, because, they figured, okay, well, the ones that are left alive, they'll just kill each other off. So the reason why this guy wants revenge on Lynch is because international operations, basically just abandoned these creatures. They abandoned them. They tested the Genesis serum. They tested the Genesis serum on these animals, and they got a bunch of cool results, but the government still wasn't happy about it. So when the government wasn't happy about it, they had to shut down, and so they just kind of either killed all the animals or left them for dead, and so that's why he wants revenge on Director Lynch. So hopefully I made that clear enough, but let's keep going. And again, we get to this part where Backlash is kind of talking to himself. He's saying, basically, I didn't want to come on this mission, but if I do rescue Director Lynch, these guys will give me information on the alien Damonite who stole my girlfriend's psyche, so I can get revenge on that alien, and I can hopefully wake my girlfriend. So hopefully I can restore her mind and get my girlfriend out of her coma. It kind of explains it here. But yeah, they make it to a facility called Eden's Gate. You can see right here, which is the lab facility, like I mentioned before, where the international operations scientists tested their Genesis serum on the animals, which made them more humanoid. And then, like I said, once Congress found wind of what the international operations scientists were doing, they shut the lab facility down, they abandoned it, and with that, the scientists and everybody who tested on the animals either killed them or just abandoned them to their fates. That's why Blood Moon wants revenge. But yeah, this is the lab where they did all those tests, and it's called Eden's Gate. That's what Grifter was referring to in the first issue. And so, Backlash is here, he's trying to find a way in. One thing I was going to point out, because I talked a little bit about Grifter, but I want to talk a little bit about Backlash too, and why he's one of my favorite characters. Backlash is very much a serious, no-nonsense type of character, and he cares, I guess, but he's also a very arrogant character. He's he thinks very highly of himself, and he tries to justify his very rash decisions that he's made, and if we keep reading, we'll see what rash decisions he's made. But he's a very interesting character. He's right here, he's saying, if this readout is correct, the comm terminal should be over there. And he's like, Sanchez, I want you and Gordon to fire up the terminal while Kobe and I search the place. And he acts a little arrogant here. You can see his ego kind of shining a bit. He goes, you know how to do that, don't you, Sanchez? So he has a little bit of an ego. And he's very serious, a serious type of character. He's very much a leader. He knows what he's doing, and he knows why he's doing it, and he knows what he wants. He's that type of character who, if he has an obstacle in his way, he'll do just about anything to get past that obstacle, no matter how good or how morally bad that is. That's kind of why I like him. And it works because Grifter's kind of the opposite. He is, for the most part, willing to do what it takes, but not to the point where he wants to cross any morally bad areas. Backlash didn't care at all. He'll do whatever he wants to save his girlfriend, even if it means sacrificing, a fellow soldier, or just basically he'll do whatever. Backlash will do whatever it takes to get his girlfriend to safety, or to get his girlfriend back. He'll do anything, no matter how morally good or how morally bad it is. And that's what makes him a pretty interesting character. He also has a little bit of an ego shine. Which, funny enough, if you read the Backlash series, he kind of evolves more as a character through the progression of his own solo series, and he becomes a little less egotistical and more self-sympathetic, or a little more sympathetic. Whereas Grifter, he's a little more morally conscious. He'll do what it takes, but if it's at the cost of sacrificing someone that could be helped, he's not going to do that. That's why I really like Grifter, because he is a gunslinger, but he's not like as cold or calculated as the Punisher, and he's not as annoying at times to me as Deadpool. He's very much like a mix of Punisher. He has that awesomeness and toughness that Punisher has, but he also has that kind-heartedness that Spider-Man has, and so that's why I really love this character, and why I think he's really underrated as a character. He's gotten more spotlight than Backlash, that's for sure, in recent years, but yeah, the classic Grifter is the best Grifter to me, especially in this miniseries. But anyways, back to the story. I just wanted to give some commentary on these characters and why I really like them. Backlash is probably my favorite Image character. I guess Grifter would probably be my second, because they're the characters I started out with. With the Backlash Spider-Man crossover, that was like my first introduction to Image Comics. So, and Backlash was that character that I was introduced to, and I was like, yeah, this guy, on the Backlash Spider-Man cover, I was like, he looks really cool. He has a neat outfit. Why don't I try digging up the comics that this character was in and reading more about it? And that's how I got into the Wildstorm universe and Image Comics and all that stuff. And that's what led me to get into other stuff like Young Blood and Bloodstrike and Shadowhawk. I mean, this character in a way really started it all for me with Image Comics. So getting into that sort of 90s trail of Image Comics. So, very important character to me. Very, very important. He's what got me to branch out as Spider-Man. So, because before then I was just, and I'm getting off track here, I'm sorry guys. But before Backlash, I was just a Spider-Man fan. Like, it was just Spider-Man comic books all day, every day. I did end up getting into another Marvel character by the name of Darkhawk, which is another character I really love. Very underrated. But, besides that, it was mainly Spider-Man, Darkhawk, and Venom, because I'm a huge Venom fan also. If you saw my Venom movie review, I speak very highly of it. But Backlash was really the start of... That Backlash Spider-Man crossover was really the start of me getting into Image Comics and into his character. And the Kindred is one of the earliest Image Comic stories I've read, and to this day, it's still my favorite. But yeah, back to the story. I just wanted to talk about that real quick. But Grifter's here, he sneaks in. The guards are oblivious to what he's doing. Like, hey, what's going on here? And then we find out that, okay, so Backlash and Kobe here are in the facility. Backlash disappears, he uses his mist form again. And Kobe's like, where'd he go? And he's like, Grifter, what are you doing here? We get this cool shot where Grifter's aiming his gun. Backlash, he's in his mist form, obviously. He, then, like I said before, Backlash, his second power, besides using his PSI, energy whips, besides manifesting PSI energy whips, Backlash also has the other power where he can transform into smoke and then reappear from that smoke, basically. He can dematerialize himself into smoke and then rematerialize himself from that smoke back into his physical human form. And so that's what he does. He dematerializes Backlash, he dematerializes into smoke, and then he rematerializes himself from that smoke into his human physical form. And then he goes, and Grifter and him have this really cool fight. And if you're going to see the story, one of the reasons I love the story so much is because Backlash and Grifter share this kind of like very tension-filled history together. And it's what makes the story really fascinating. And we don't really get a lot revealed either, so it kind of keeps it a mystery. Now, they would make a sequel called Kindred 2, which fleshes out their tension past history and why they both dislike each other, but I like how this one kind of keeps it in mystery as to why Grifter and Backlash both dislike each other. I really think that's cool. So we get this really cool fight here with Backlash and Grifter. See, Backlash just makes a jump forward. He jumps onto Grifter and he hits him with his hand. He does like a kind of really cool action here. Flips him over. He manifests his PSI purple power whip using its mind, like I mentioned before. He manifests it, and it goes after Grifter, but it misses. Kobe aims the gun at him. It's like, hey, stop your nonsense. Grifter drops his gun. Grifter and Backlash is like, what are you doing here? You better explain. And he goes, well, if you wanna know how to get out of here and know what this is all about, you better keep me alive. And so there's some shots fired. Backlash and Grifter aren't sure what's going on here. You find a bunch of weird dead bodies, I think, with all the bones and stuff scattered around. Although we see this really cool spider creature come out of nowhere. Really, really cool design. I love these designs. Like I said, the Kindred were basically regular animals before, but then when they got tested with the Genesis serum, the Kindred were regular animals, but then when they got tested on with the Genesis serum by international operations, they kind of mutated into human-animal hybrids. So this guy, I guess, was once a regular spider, and he became a human-animal hybrid. Really, really cool design. He kind of attacks Colby here. He gets a scratch here. Backlash is about to manifest his whip, but then all of a sudden it doesn't works. He goes, Colby's down for the count. It's just you and me, Cole. Now pay attention and you just might learn something. There's his ego again, kind of flaring up. And then he says, my PSI whip, it's not working. And then we get some cool... I love the dialogue between these two characters because there's... I love the dialogue between these two characters because they're, in a way, such polar opposites almost. They're kind of the same, that they're both tough, and that they were both in... I don't think I mentioned this. They were both in Team 7 together. So that's why they share their past. But again, Cole, he's willing to do what it takes to get the mission done. But he's also the type of guy who's like, I'm going to do the right thing always. Like, I don't want to... If it means I got to sacrifice somebody or my friend to do the mission, then I'm not going to do it. Friends to me come first. And I'm not going to sacrifice a friend who I'm close with to accomplish the mission, whereas Backlash is like, I want what I want, so if I got to sacrifice my friend to do so, or someone I'm close to, I'm going to get that mission done. And it's such a cool contrast between these two characters. You get really good dialogue like this, where he goes, what's the matter, Mark? Forget to charge your batteries? You haven't forgotten how to use a gun, have you? And then in the Backlash here goes, I've still got a good shot. Want me to demonstrate on you? And it's just that kind of really good dialogue and the banter that makes this story, among other things, really, really good. So this is where I think the series really gets going. Whereas the first issue, kind of like an intro to what's going on, this is where things really do pick up. And we get some good action with Cole here, shooting down some of the Kindred, and we get Backlash doing some cool stuff. Get this cool little ending piece right here. Backlash is shooting over here. Grifter's over here. Grifter said, of all the people I could end up dying with, it had to be you, Slade, and they get them, and then there's blood over the walls here, and that's the end of the issue. Kindred issue 2 is really good. It really kind of starts building up the story a bit, whereas the first issue to me was a really good entry point. The second issue really gets the story going, so I really like that a lot. And I just really love this. I mentioned it before. The Kindred is probably my favorite Image Comics series of all time. I love Youngblood, I love Bloodstrike, I love Shadowhawk. Comics that I've already covered on this channel, which you can check out. But this one's special to me because it's one of the earlier Image Comics I read. And it's also part of the Wildstorm universe. And it's just a really good, tight story. 4 issues long, it's got a good beginning and end. It's got good characters. And as we keep going, it just gets better and better. So, but yeah, that's my issue review of Kindred issue 2. I'll talk to you guys later. Darkstorm Comics Reviews out.